Why the long face? I'll tell you why. I recorded about an hour and a half of usable content with my mate Mooney from Tribe Talking Podcast. It was fantastic. It was great. It would have been amazing. And somehow I managed to fuck the whole thing up. And I had 2 recordings going. We were recording on Zoom, which I found out if you're using your phone, it doesn't record the video it said it was recording, but there was nothing there. I think that's the problem, is that I was using my phone. It is possible now I'm starting to think maybe if I went on a laptop, no, I don't think so. At any rate, we only got like half of it because I refused to pay. And this is the ultimate cause of all my problems, by the way, with this podcast, because I try and do everything for free because I'm a total you-know-what. I tend to come across all sorts of technical problems. So in this case, if I paid for the full Zoom service, I would be able to record for longer. So it cut off after a certain amount of time. Then I did the second half on my phone, my second phone. I have 2 phones, one for general use and one for online porn. And I was using my other phone to record the audio. And guess what? It didn't record the audio. Nothing worked. It didn't even make sense. I said, well, once again, the universe is conspiring against me. But bizarrely, as I sat down to record earlier, I noticed this. See this little microphone? See how there's a little green light there? That was flashing red. And then I realized that the phone with which I was recording the audio as a backup, not just a backup, it's what I used to make the audio podcast itself, hadn't been connected. I didn't have the Wi-Fi on. Not the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth. So that's why, and at least now I know why it didn't work. But it all comes down to me. And I feel really bad and embarrassed. Luckily, Mooney has this kind of sense of humor where he thinks it's hilarious that we spent all that time and have nothing to show for it. Except we do have something to show for it because we had a good chat. And I think it's actually going to enhance the podcast today. I think I'll do a better job based on just running through things with him. And you'll be surprised to know, well, you won't be surprised to know. We talked about, he had a lot of negative things to say about England. But at the end of the day, we're pretty much on the same page. That might surprise you. We came up with a 23 to play Ireland. Now, obviously, Borthwick has announced his 23. I just realized this is too rugby related, isn't it, for an intro? Usually I do a weird intro, but I got nothing. So I'll continue. I shouldn't have interrupted myself. You see that? I was going to punch it really hard, and then I realized I'd end up punching a wall. And you can see I'm already injured. I got this fucking elbow thing. My shoulder hurts. Don't even get me started on my erectile problems. This is what I do. I derail myself. I do this during comedy shows too. Last night I was doing... I've completely derailed myself. Good, we're not talking about rugby. Last night I did the Two-Headed Monster, which is where I go and do 2 open mics. I'm doing a lot of open mics right now for reasons I just can't be bothered to get into. But at some point I'll have a big video all about open mics and it's going to be great. But I did the Two-Headed Monster, when I did 1 open mic at what they call a consumption bar. I don't know if you have those near you. I thought a consumption bar would be where you go if you had tuberculosis or something, but apparently it's just to get high, get stoned. I don't like smoking weed for reasons you might know already. I've already told all of you. I do tend to get a little bit paranoid, a little bit scared, and a little bit masturbatey, and that's not good on stage usually. But they also had coffee, and I drank a load of coffee, and I'd have been better off getting high, getting stoned, because I was so shaky and like wired. I did fine. And then I went with my friend, almost said Mooney, different friend. I have 2 friends. Nicky Moon. Whoa, what a weird coincidence. This is a very lunar episode, isn't it? We went to a second open mic 5 minutes away. And that one, it wasn't very good. There weren't many people there. And the people that were there were kind of twats, and including me. And I read a list of, well, I'll show you.
And they're mostly sexual, okay? So I'm going to read them to you. Make sure you get this on film, please. This is going to be great. We've got No Shave November, you all know that. December is Don't Touch Dick December, apparently, like you're not supposed to masturbate. January, Jizz-free January, Fuck-free February, Move over masturbation, March. Nobody wants to be off all year long. Abstinence, April. You may not masturbate, May. Now they got really creative. I hope I do this right. For June, it's June come June. And then July, very similar. Too crazy and too deep, you're gonna come in July. That's a Latin holiday, I think. Orgasm outlawed August. Stop semen September. And then, okay, you can come October.
But yeah, it wasn't very, I was just sort of not interested at that point. But then Thursday, I will be doing The Beast with Three Backs, which is 3 open mics in a row. This is a huge undertaking. Not many people do this, but it's very helpful. I don't know if that's interesting to you. It probably isn't. It's a terrible start. Technically, it's the worst start ever because I've recorded a full episode that was really, really good and then lost it all. But I was saying, Mooney and I, we did name a 23-man squad to play Ireland, which is different, as you can imagine, to Steve Borthwick's. We agreed on, we had a couple of disagreements, but we were able to find common ground and select a 20. He did, of course, want Fizzle at 8, but he accepted, he relented, and we had Earl at 8. But I'll name that later. I'm going to try as hard as I can during the podcast full to talk about try and cover everything that Mooney and I talked about within reason. I'm just checking my notes. It's a shame because I didn't know that I was going to lose it all. I wasn't making notes on the conversation with him. I should have been recording the audio of it to make notes so I could do another podcast. That's insane. All right, fuck this. Let's just get on with it, shall we? What episode is it? It's Rugby Rant Banter episode 280. 280. It's almost 180 from the darts. Remember Bullseye? Fuck off. All right. Well, just to get started, let me just say something. I'm pretty sure that I did say after the Wales game, I know what I thought. I never trust myself because sometimes I'm not 100%. I don't always 100% back myself. If I think something is horribly wrong, I'll often say it, but sometimes if no one else is saying it, if no one's agreeing with me, and especially if, sorry, that probably caused all sorts of problems. Especially if like the brethren tell me I'm a fucking moron for saying it. Sometimes I hold back a little bit, but I think I did express this in last week's podcast. After the Wales match, I was not happy at all with England. I thought that Welsh team was the worst Welsh team I've ever seen. And I'm pretty sure I said they were worse than the team that we beat Wales by a record number by back in the day with Lawrence Dallaglio running everybody over at one point, I think that happened. Unless I'm mixing up games. My point is that Welsh team, and I'm not having a go at Wales, if anything, I'm having a go at England. That Welsh team was so bad that it should have been a record points win for England. And the fact that it wasn't, I saw all sorts of problems. And I was very worried about this match. Having said that, I did think we would win. I thought we would play better than we did against Wales, which I don't think we did. I think we were just as bad against a much better team. I mean, the scoreline did not reflect the actual game. It was horrifying as an English person. It was embarrassing. It was terrifying because we have now seen the flaw, the inherent weakness in this England squad and in their game plan. And, everybody says, oh, well, Scotland get themselves extra fired up for this. It shouldn't matter. If England were as good as we thought they were, it wouldn't matter and Scotland are a good team. But I thought, and I think a lot of you probably thought, that this England team was too well drilled, too confident and in the right way, had the right mindset, and were just too good. Like man for man, just too good, and would get the job done. Maybe it would be tricky, maybe the score would be close, but we'd get the job done. And we really didn't get the job done. Not only did we not get the job done, we shouldn't have had the job to begin with. We were not qualified for it. And the scary thing is, I mean, there were some bad individual performances, but more just collectively, it didn't work. The game plan, as I said, didn't work. And I don't know what you do about it. Like, I don't know what you do about it, but I'll get more into that in a minute. Let me just check my match notes. Oh, this is the first thing I talked about with Mooney. Shit, do I even have it with me? Yes, I do. Okay. I was looking through, I made notes in my notebook. I have multiple notebooks that I use, some for stand-up material and then some for rugby, like making notes on games, and sometimes very half-assedly planning this podcast. But I went to look through my notes, and just purely coincidentally, the book that I grabbed to write notes in, the last notes I'd done were from last year's Six Nations, England versus Scotland. And I think it is telling how, other than the names of the players, like looking at it right now, there's Finn Smith. Well, Finn Smith did come on, didn't he? Jesus Christ, I was looking through this earlier and I kept seeing a name. Okay, fuck this. I'm not gonna be able to do it, am I? Okay, don't worry about that. Anyway, I'm looking at the notes. For some reason, I can't find any players' names, even though when I was trying to read it to Mooney yesterday, I kept seeing players. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong notes. No, this is it. Anyway, other than the players' names, which I promise are in here somewhere, you would think it was from the same match that we just watched. Listen. Which is the best bit? Okay, we are so vulnerable out wide. The one positive from this match, a very dominant scrum. We are kicking too much and it's not working. We look better when we keep the ball in hand. Why can't they see this? England with constant handling errors. Marrow, for all his strength, does not carry well enough. No flow, no momentum, just brief, scrappy moments. Anyway, there's more. It's fucking whatever. My point is, this is a consistent problem for England. When we go to Murrayfield, was this even in Murrayfield? I suppose it wouldn't have been. If this was last year, we would have been at Twickenham, wouldn't we? I'm assuming we alternate each year. I don't even know that. That's the kind of shit that I should know, but I don't pay attention for some reason. ADHD. But the point is, when we play Scotland, this is a consistent problem for us. Our set piece tends to do well because that's not really something. That's set piece is a little bit more. Well, I mean, I've said before, and we all know this. Scrums can be a bit of a lottery, but if you've got a dominant scrum, doesn't matter how fired up the opposition is or how much research they do. If they can't match your scrum, then you're going to win. Anyway, you're going to win the scrums. But consistently against Scotland, England absolutely vulnerable out wide and look like we don't know what the fuck we're doing and have a really hard time launching attacks. And it was the same on the weekend. Looking through my notes, early maul dominance, but England kick. Ends up with Scotland in R22, shows the downside to the 50-50 contestable kicking strategy. Kicking because it's our game plan when it wasn't necessary or even a good idea. It happened more than once, by the way. And I do blame George Ford for this. And listen, I don't need to have the caveat that George Ford is a good fly half. Of course he is. He's playing for England. Of course he's good. He's not an embarrassment. It's not like Prendergast at Ireland where it's like, what the fuck are they doing picking him? With Ford, he's been there and done it so many times. Should I take my glasses off? No, I'm fucking blind. It's just this goddamn light that's reflecting, or it's the light from the phone itself. I remember last time I just turned the brightness down. Let's try this. Is that better? Not really. Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Yes, George Ford is good. It's not like there's no decent argument for starting him. But I have said, I think I said this last week, and I've said it before, he has limitations. He is defensively slightly vulnerable. And yeah, he can follow and really direct a game plan that involves kicking, right? It didn't work. And there was no plan B. We just kept doing the same thing. And like I said, it's been working so well. 12 matches in a row we have won. And it's not the end of the world. I mean, look, this is the great thing about rugby. If England goes and beats Ireland and looks good, everything's fine. That's it. I mean, yes, they're going to have to really think hard about what they do when they play Scotland next. I think if I'm playing Scotland, Jesus, I mean, that's the problem. With those missed tackles, I don't know what you could do. I would not play George Ford against Scotland again. I would play Finn Smith, but I would play Finn Smith anyway. I just think he's our best fly half. But defensively, he's really good, which means that you don't have to have, as I said, there are limitations to George Ford's game. He tackles heroically. He's not scared, but the defense does try and hide him a little bit. And I think it does allow space out wide as a result of people covering for him. So I suppose you would not have him against Scotland if you did it again. And I don't know, the Tommy Freeman thing at centre, I don't think he was the problem. And I felt sorry for all of the backs, basically, outside of George Ford, maybe even including George Ford to a degree. But I mean, I felt most sorry for Fraser Dingwall because he's not the kind of player that is going to change a game by doing something exciting. And that's what you needed. You needed someone electric. You needed someone like Ollie Lawrence to make something out of nothing, or Henry Arundel. How about Henry Arundel make something out of nothing instead of just catching the ball and putting it down? But that being said, hard to get the ball, and it's not like Scotland can't defend. This is the problem. It's really hard to know how England could fix that performance. You could, and you would just put it down to them just not being up for it for some reason. You could just put it down as a sort of an anomaly, except that it happens every time. It's consistent. So it is a problem. It's not like they just had a hard day at the office. It's that they have an office in Edinburgh, which they should never go to, because every time they go there, they can't get fucking any work done. They just shit themselves and... Well, I give up. I don't know what happened. I recorded for another 20 minutes and the sound went out. At least another 20 minutes. This episode is cursed. I'm blaming Mooney. It's some kind of weird lunar phase that has fucked up everything for us. It is fuck-free February, so what you're going to have to do is listen to my audio podcast, which I'm hoping to Christ works. I'm still putting this out there for you to see because I got to have something to show for it. It won't happen again. Fuck my life.